Namaskar. Welcome to this session. The Adhyatma often tells us that this human embodiment is not just mass of body matter, flesh, bones, muscles, but it houses the microcosm. Any life, and particularly human life, is a marvel compared to the world of objects which are said to be non-living objects. The living entity is indeed a marvel. And then in all the living beings, terrestrial, the human being is indeed a great marvel. Now, why is it a marvel? One of the reasons is that it houses microcosm according to mysticism and Adhyatma. Now, we cannot be having slightest clue about the whole universe encased within us. And therefore we cannot have any idea of the miniature universe, micro universe, or the microcosm within the embodiment. But then we can definitely have an idea about the macrocosm, the universe around us. Particularly with advent of modern sciences such as astronomy, astrophysics, the space sciences, we are wonderstruck at the expanse of this universe and the whole universal phenomenon. So that will give some idea as to how our embodiment is also a marvel in the event that we believe the human embodiment is microcosm, miniature cosmos, miniature universe, which of course the Adhyatma has been postulating right from time without beginning. So one of the marvels is that we have come across about our embodiment is that we are timeless. We are older than the earth, the planet. We are older than the sun. The planet and the sun, they are said to be 4,500 million years old. And they have total lifespan of 10,000 million years. But we are older than the planet sun, the solar system, the sun, and we are not going to be extinguished after those another 6,500 years. We are not to be extinguished at all. We will never extinguish ourselves, nor will be extinct, and we will be never ever non-existent, and we have been existent from time without beginning. Now this is a marvel, and we have been existing through our manifestations in 8.4 million life classes. So these are certain marvels that Adhyatma diverges. We have been through 8.4 million life classes, and we are going to be in those 8.4 billion classes umpteen number of times, and will be existent through such incarnations and such avatars and such manifestations. Now this is a great truth that has come down to all the astikas. Today we have been terrestrial beings, but we have been celestial beings. We have been infernal beings. We have been commuting from this plane of creation, terrestrial, to other planes of creation such as celestial and infernal. So we have been traveling between Ihalaukika to Paralaukika and Ihalaukika to Narakiya Srishti. So these are three planes of creation spoken of by Adhyatma. Ihalaukika, that means here, as we are existing today. Paralaukika, that means our existence in celestial planes, higher planes, and also Narakiya Srishti, that is our existence in the nether world. So, we are indeed a marvel. Now, what are these lokas? The universe is classed into Chaturdasha bhuvanas, that is 14 planes. So, that is called Bhuvana jnanam, which tells us about this vast expanse of universe, ever expanding universe. Today it is said to be extending to something of the nature of 16 billion light years, and it is ever expanding. So we can have this idea of this cosmos which is around us, and then we are told by Adhyatma that there is a miniature cosmos within us. That's called microcosm. So, as I just now said, that we cannot have idea of what is housed within us, but we can certainly have some clue to that, looking at the whole creation around us in the space. So that's called Bhuvana jnanam. So it will tell us about the entire cosmos which is around us, the entire existence of universe around us. And then we will be able to have some idea if this is housed in us. It should be called as microcosm. That is called Pindanda. So the concept of Brahmanda and Pindanda is signature condition of our philosophical systems and metaphysical thought process. So now we will have some idea about the whole expanse of universe that has come in our philosophical thought process and metaphysics and mysticism. So there are planes above the terrestrial plane. The terrestrial plane is called bhuloka. That's called bhuloka, that is the terrestrial plane. And then we have planes extending beyond. They are bhuvaradi, bhuvarloka, suvarloka, maholoka, tapoloka, satyaloka, etc. So bhuhu, bhuvaha, suvaha, maha, janaha, tapaha, satyam. These are the planes which are going beyond our loka, which is bhuloka. And then there are netherly planes called Narakiya Sushti, and it is Atala Sutala Adi. So Patanjali is saying that there is a samyama. As we are going through the various samyama janya siddhis in this chapter, this is next of the samyama janya siddhi, that is siddhi coming out of samadhi. That's called Soorya Samyama. So Soorya Samyamat Bhuvana jnanam is the sutra here. Soorya Samyamat. The Surya here is sun, and the Samyama is on sun. But it is not Samyama on the physical sun, which is a glaring object which we cannot be sighting through our eyes with naked eyes, but our eyes close with its brightness. So there is a Naadi in our embodiment, as you have often heard during pranayam session, pranayam discourses, that we have Naadi network. There are Shwasa Nadis, there are Prana Nadis. One of these Nadis is Surya Nadi. And by Samyama on Surya Nadi, the result is yogi gets Bhuvana jnanam. So this Bhuvana jnanam comes to him within his embodiment because it contains the microcosm. Unlike the knowledge of astrologers who are hooked to a telescope, a radio telescope, Hubble telescope, and more powerful telescopes, and then he discovers the universe by sighting something outside him. Whereas yogi gets the vision of microcosm within the embodiment by a samyama called Surya Samyama, Surya Nadi Samyama. So, in the course of the commentary, Vyasa tells us about, describes the Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, and of course that is an esoteric concept. And the 7 planes, starting from Bhuhu to Satyaloka, Bhuloka to Satyaloka, there are 7 planes. These are 7 planes, and these are described in our Shastras, and they are esoteric. So the 7 planes which are beyond us are Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. And then on the other hand we have infernal netherlands, nether planes. They are Atala, Sutala, Vitala, Mahatala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. So these Bhuvanas get mentioned in our Puranas and in our Shastras. So there are Saptalokas from Bhuhu, and then there are Saptalokas below Bhuhu. Now, this is the Bhuvana jnanam. This is the knowledge of esoteric astronomy. It doesn't deal with astrophysics but astronomy. So it is quite fascinating, just as it is fascinating to look into encyclopedia and open out the topic of boundless space. And then it is very, very fascinating to be reading about what lies in the boundless space. So there are countless stars. We are told that there are 2,000 million stars visible to naked eyes. And then with mechanical sights, such as telescopes and various kinds of telescopes, there are indeed countless stars, indeed infinite stars. But even for naked eyes, 2,000 million stars are naked. So what we can see during the day is nothing beyond the horizon. But what we can see at night is that marvelous space studded with celestial bodies, stars and nebulae, planets, etc. It's fascinating to be looking at the sky at night, because our vision expands exponentially. While we are awake in a wakeful state, what we sight is only around us and in a very limited radius. Our vision can extend only up to horizon and not beyond. But in night skies, with night skies above our head, we can see something which is tens of light years away, hundreds of light years away, thousands of light years away, even with naked eyes. So therefore it is always fascinating to look into any information about astronomy and astrophysics for modern man. It is really mind-boggling, fascinating. Similar is the case about these saptalokas and the saptapatala lokas. So let's try to peep into the information that we are getting about this bhuvana jnanam, that is knowledge about universe. So as I just now told you, from our plane, which is called bhuloka, the bhuloka, from bhuloka we have planes beyond our plane of existence. There are bhuvarloka, suvarloka, maharloka, janoloka, tapoloka, satyaloka, and the satyaloka is the farthest. And within the bhuloka, inside the bhuloka, we have saptapatalas. They are atala, and below the immediately below we have the atala, sutala, talatala, mahatala, rasatala, patala. So these are lower planes, infernal planes. So the Purana Shastras speak about it, and wonderful description or most comprehensive description comes in Srimad Vishnu Puranam, which describes the Chaturdasha Bhuvanas and the beings residing in the Chaturdasha Bhuvanas. We think that the life only exists on planet. The fact of the matter is, our kind of life exists on the planet, and elsewhere other kinds of lives do exist. And sometimes I had made a statement that even there is life on the sun. Sun is not lifeless. Sun has life. So that life lives on the atmosphere that the sun radiates, the fiery bodies, whereas our bodies are burned by fire. They will be reduced to ash. So we have one kind of life which thrives on oxygen and sometimes carbon dioxide, like botanical life. It thrives on carbon dioxide. But there are life forms which live on other gases or any other energy form. So the point is, the whole universe is studied with life forms. So it tells us about, Vishnu Puranam tells us about even the life forms which are not terrestrial life forms but celestial life forms. Modern man tends to call them as aliens, and we call them celestial beings. So wonderful description comes in Vishnu Puranam describing the Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, Jiva Jati in Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, that is life forms in 14 planes. The Urdhva Lokas are the lokas where the Punyatmas dwell, exaltedly virtuous lives are in those planes, and in the other loka, the sinisters are existing. So Punyatma and Papatma. Punyatma in Bhuvaloka, Suvarloka, etc., upper loka, and then in lower lokas we have the sinister lives, sin subsumed, sin permeated lives. They exist in netherly planes. So there is Jiva Srushti, not only in our loka but even paraloka. So that is what is the topic of study now, when we are going to understand the Bhuvana Jnanam which a yogi gets. What is that Bhuvana Jnanam? So that is described by Vyasa, which is based on what comes in Srimad Vishnu Puranam primarily, and of course it is also in other Puranas appearing. So we have human and subhuman forms and superhuman forms. So in subhuman forms we count worms, insects, birds, animals, creatures. We count them as subhumans. So the Adhyatma tells us, or the Vishnu Purana tells us, Jantu, small tiny life forms, Kitak, insects, ants, worms, Pashu, animals, Pakshi, birds, Sarisrupa, the reptiles, and Vanaspati. This is the life that we see on the planet. These are the kinds of life that we see on the planet. Biological life to botanical life. So we count them as subhuman life forms. But then there are also superhuman life forms which are beyond bhuloka, which are in the other lokas such as Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Moholoka, Janoloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. And there are various beings described in our literatures, in our Vedic literature and Puranic literature. Apart from Manava, there are Yaksha, Kinnara, Bhuta Preta Pishacha, Apasmaraka, Apsara, Brahma Rakshasa, Kushmanda, Vinayaka. There are so many celestial forms. So also Tridasha, Agnishwanta, Yamnya, Tushina, Aparinirmita, Vartita, Parinirmita Vartita. These are all various life forms which get mentioned in Vyasa's commentary, which we are going to look at. So, in the Mahendra Loka there are 6 kinds of celestial forms. Mahendra Loka means Swarloka, Swarga Loka. And their lifespan expands to 1 kalpa. 1 kalpa means a span of 4,320 million years. That's a lifespan. While we know the lifespan of human beings, we know the lifespan of certain creatures on the planet, we know the lifespan of botanical life. The trees live for 100, 200, 500 years or even more. The animals have lifespan of 3-4 years to less than 3-4 years to 3-4 years to 8-10 years to 20-30 years to 40-50 years to 70-80 years. So we know various lifespans to various life forms. While in Mahendra Loka there are 6 kinds of deities described, and they have lifespan of 1 kalpa. 1 kalpa means, as I just now said, 4,320 million years. And they have different dispositions, like we have Ahar, Bhaya, Nidra, Maithunam as basic vasanas in all beings. The celestial beings have different tendencies. And let me tell you about few characteristic things here, that the lifespan can extend from 1 kalpa to even beyond. And then they have tendencies which are called as, they are Pujya, Kama Bhoga Priya, Ayonija, Divya Dehadhari, Apsara Pariveshtita, Kridarata. The celestial forms are described like that. They all have celestial joys and enjoyments which are incomparably great than our terrestrial enjoyments. And these beings also have meditative potential, meditation potential, quite natural. Just as we go to sleep, they go to samadhi, and this we have understood in the Sutra Bhava Pratyaya Asampragnata Samadhi. So just as all the biological creatures at some point in time, for some duration of time, go to sleep and fall asleep, they fall asamadhi. They get samadhi, they go into samadhi. And they are kama bhoga priya because they have celestial pleasures around them. They are ayonija, they don't have parents. They are divya dehadhari, they have glorious bodies, because these bodies have to last for, as I said, that span of time such as 1 kalpa, 4,320 million years. So they have glorious bodies, and also they are surrounded by damsels, and they make merry, they enjoy the life. And that's why we speak about something as celestial pleasure, celestial desire, delight. So, in Puranas we are told about Mahendra Loka, where there are 6 kinds of deities. And then in Maholoka, it is a Prajapati Loka. There are Panchavida Devata Gana, 5 forms of celestial beings. They are called Kumuda, Rubhava, Pratardana, Anjanabha, Prachitabha. While you should recall, in Mahendra Loka there are 6 which I named for you: Tridasha, Agnishwanta, Yamya, Tushina, Aparinirmita Vartina, Parinirmita Vartina. So those are 6 classes, and now here there are 5 classes. They have control over 5 elements. Panchamahabhutas are within their control, and their food is Dhyanam. They live on Dhyanam. So whenever they have breakfast time, Dhyana is their breakfast item. Whenever they have meals, Dhyana is their item as food items. So they live on Ahara, which is Dhyana, and therefore they are called Dhyanahara. Now, their lifespan is 1000 kalpas. 1000 kalpas means 8,640 million years into 100. So, it amounts to 8,000 billion years into 1000. So that's their lifespan, 8 billion years. That's the lifespan. So then comes the Janor Loka. In Jana Loka, there are Chaturvida Devata Ganas, 4 forms of celestial beings. They have another exponential growth in their lifespans. Brahma Purohita, 2000 kalpas. Brahma Kaika, 4000 kalpas. Mahabrahma Kaika, 8000 kalpas. And Amara, 16,000 kalpas. So you should know that one kalpa is 8,640 million years. So multiplied by 2000, Brahma Purohita, multiplied by 4000, Brahma Kaika, multiplied by 8000, Brahma Mahakaika, multiplied by 16,000 is Amara. See the enormous lifespan. Then comes Tapoloka. In Tapoloka there are Trivida Devatas: Abhaswara, Mahabhaswara, Satyabhaswara. And they have lifespan respectively of 32,000 kalpas, then 64,000 kalpas and 128,000 kalpas. See the astronomical lifespan they have. They are also Bhutendriya Vashi. If the earlier was Bhuta Vashi, this is Bhutendriya Vashi. They are also Dhyanahara. That means they live on Dhyana. Their food is Dhyana. They are also called Urdhvaretasa beings. And they have constant, incessant knowledge of all the planes of creation. In Satyaloka there are said to be 4 kinds of or classes of deities: Achyuta, Shuddha Divasa, Satyabha and Sagnya Sagnya. So these are celestial kinds of life forms, and they are Pradhana Vashi. They have control over primordial matter. and their lifespan extends to Sarganta, that is one kalpa is, as you have heard, 8,640 million years. Then Brahma's lifespan of 100 years. So one day of those many million years into 100 years, that is their lifespan. This Achyuta Varga, the first of it is in Vitarkanugata Samadhi, Shuddha Nivasa are in Vicharanugata Samadhi, Satyabha in Anandanugata Samadhi, and Sagnya in Asmitanugata Samadhi. And these are referred to as Videhi and Prakrudalina, which we had discussed earlier in the Samadhi Paada. So these 8.4 million life forms are in entire universe. So that is how this Bhuvanam has been described and explained. And even in the terrestrial plane, sometimes we say there are child prodigies, that there are incarnations of great life forms, great sages, great seers, while Paramatma itself is taking avatara. Why not the Bhagavatas? So many times we say that Yaksha, Kinnara, Gandharva have manifested on the terrestrial plane. Or we refer to something as Shapita Gandharva, Shapita Kinnara, Shapita Yaksha. These are cursed celestial beings who come to terrestrial plane and live for some time as human beings, but they are indeed extraordinary in their abilities. So various kinds of beings are described: Yaksha, Kinnara, Gandharva, Vidyadhara, etc., etc. Well, in Mahabharata we hear about grandsire Bhishma Pitamaha, who was said to be one of the Ashtavasus. Now Vasus are celestial beings. Vasu, Rudra, Aditya are Devata Ganas. So he was one of the Rudras, one of the Vasus, one of the Ashtavasus. Tukaram Maharaj was a Vaikuntha Nivasi. He was from Vaikuntha. He was a Nitya Suri and came down to our plane and lived with us for some time and went back. So we are aware of such super human beings such as Dhaneshwars and Tukarams and Ramdasas, etc., who come and live within we mortals and grace us, and then go away with enormous glory which is undiminishing. So the point is that there are beings all over the universe. We have Bhagwan, the Dashavataras of Bhagavanta. Bhagwan has Dashavataras. There we have Rudravataras, Shaktiavataras, Ganeshavataras, Dattavataras. So many avatars have come for our well-being. Anyway, so this Bhuvana Jnanam is given by Vyasa in his commentary. Now we will try to look into Vyasa's commentary and try to have some idea that comes in his commentary about Bhuvanas and the beings in Bhuvanas. But we will do that in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.